Welcome, everyone. Namaste. And
Namaste.
thank you for joining the inaugural session of our Samvad series, Trtiya Samvād. So, this series is organized and curated on behalf of Trtiya, a movement that we put our Sankalpa into earlier this year to uh, really explore a Indic response to some of the dilemmas and challenges that we are confronting at multiple levels educational, social, ecological. Uh, to put it in a simple way, the Dharma Sankatas of our time. How do we really engage with them meaningfully? That is the quest and the question that we are following. And one of the primary motivations which led us to come together was when last year I met Indira ma'am in Ahmedabad while I was working towards a women's leadership program. Because I was getting many coaching clients, both young professionals and seniors, who are really struggling to reconcile their identity as a woman with the kind of training and the achievements they have gained professionally in the corporate world and other sectors. So some of the readings that we had been doing in Sumetha's circles with the papers ma'am have written in the past, her own book on the Indian woman and inner dialogue, I think these sparked some curiosity on exploring them at a much deeper level for me. And so this particular Samvad series, we are beginning with the theme of exploring Shakti on what are the dilemmas that a woman leader encounters as they traverse the diverse life spaces. And there's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that ma'am has across decades, working with high professionals from across sectors in her own experience being with IIM Ahmedabad. So I really hope that this space becomes a reflective space where both her wisdom and all your sharings can further enrich on really helping us shape a response and explore this topic at a much deeper level. So how we have structured this 1 hour is we are starting 10 minutes late. So I was suggesting that we could start with ma'am sharing a context of the topic from her own experience so far. And then we can maybe take another half an hour for interactions. So you can share your reflections, evocations, personal experience, and it can be a very interactive, engaging process, which is why while many of you might be listening to it off the record because you could not join live, those of you are present here, my request is to be present fully, and you can also uh, use the time to really engage and interact and bring more richness to the space. Okay. On that note, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Hari. I would like to share how I got interested in the women's work. See, being in IIM, it was mostly the management development programs were for men. It was for both men and women, but hardly women joined the program. And even in the students, out of 120, there were only six were there when I had joined, or at best six went to 10, then 10 went, then it increased. So I started thinking, okay, why aren't women joining? Because, and then if you see the decade changed and the women in great numbers after getting educated started to join the workforce. So I said, we must do a program exclusively for women because the issues are very different. I used to see my issues were different when I was in IIM, and for almost 2 years, I was the only female professor, and it had some issues. So thought I would do a program. Of course, it took me a lot of struggle and a lot of pushing and puffing and to get the program approved, because there is a system by which the programs which are held in MDP gets approved. So, but I did get them approved finally with hook or by crook. I got it. And the first program, I had 45 women participants coming to IIM. And IIM for the first time saw saris flowing on the campus, because most of the time there were only pants and shirts flowing. In the program, I discovered that women's issues are very, very different in the organization. And also, this was the year 79. So that the women were just entering in numbers, and they had a lot of chota issues, which could be managed very quickly and positively, but they were not being addressed. For example, the most difficult issue was the toilets. Most organizations did not have women toilets. So women had to have another woman standing outside the men toilet when the women went to use the washroom. Such small things. And even getting the women to the program, I had to almost go door to organizations who employed more women, like the banks, like the LIC, like the hotel sector. And when I said I'm offering a women's program, they said, What do you mean women's program? I said, because you don't send women to the to the general program. So I will have a women's program. So you don't have to think who to nominate. So they kind of agreed that they will send women. And so I had 45 nominations. And there were 3 women I remember who were standing at the edge of getting onto the corporate boards. But they were shying it off and saying they can't be part of a board. And what would they really contribute? And after a 6-day program, they did join the boards and became quite effective in the boards. So women had an internal inhibition about getting into major positions because they said they don't know what to do and how they will be received. I said, forget how you will be received, but remember what you can contribute. That is what is important. Now, let me stop this for a here for a moment and take you to the what Hari said, the Indic concept. If you look at our literature, Vedic literature, we have 3 days, Vishnu and Mahesh. And I've been listening and I'm trying to collate together where do the women fit in all of this. See, Brahma is the creator. So he creates the earth, he creates the stars, he creates the moon, he creates, it has to be in harmony. So he can't do it. He just creates in order of a certain kind. So he was looking for somebody to put this into an order so that it kind of works properly. So he found Goddess Saraswati. Now, Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge, but she's also the puts things into harmony. She puts everything into proper places so that it works cohesively and coherently. Then, if you look at Vishnu, is the maintainer of the universe. Maintainer of the universe, but you need resources for that to maintain. You need food. You need. So he found Lakshmi, who could generate wealth. And of course, we worship Goddess Lakshmi for getting wealth. So she is the counterpoint of Vishnu to provide, one provides order, the other provides resources, so that the Srishti can work coherently and in a proper manner. But then always in the universe, there is good and the bad, the good and the evil. And we have Lord Mahesh. Now, there are many times his power is not adequate enough to kill evil. if you see a lot of stories in the Vedas and all of that, the Amrit, the whole episode of Amrit, then they need a goddess to come and help them out. So Ardhanarish, Ardha Shakti is the goddess who comes to help in all of this. Now, Shakti is not just power, it is the doing the right thing, separating good from the bad, uh, destroying the evil. And that is where and also stating your own position and location in a strong, confident manner. Now, what happens is we have internal inhibitors, which comes from primary system, which is the family, which is influenced by society, which is influenced by culture. Now, if you take all these three, have been eras where the transition has taken place, and the women's energy and the positive energy has been subjugated, and we have let it go. That is the internal inhibitor. Inhibitor is the outside norms and set up by the society, which says women's role is this and women's role is not this. Men's role is this and men's role is not that. Now, society has said this is the role and this is not the role of both men and women. But we just take the role which is not of women and not look at the role of women, which is sometimes hurtful. Because if you see now, people say women are multitasking, they play multiple roles, and they are quite comfortable. They set everything in order, and they are very quick, intuitive in grasping what is evil and what is not right and what is bad. But we don't seem to, in an organization setting or in a leadership role, we get caught up with acceptance and affirmation from men, and therefore we don't assert, we don't feel confident, don't need to make our statement and put it in a assertive manner. Because we say, what will people think? That is where we get caught. What will people think? And people think whatever they have been taught to think, right from the family, from the society, and from the culture. But if you are able to get over there, I will give you one example. When I joined IIM as a faculty, and I was the first woman to join from a research associate position and an Indian PhD to join faculty. And therefore, there was a kind of a looking down upon the degree, looking down upon the research associate position, and then become a faculty. Now, all the other faculty were foreign returned, foreign degrees, and they were never research associates in IIM. They may be research associates elsewhere. So when I joined the faculty meeting, very difficult for me to make statements. And sometimes I would get a statement which would be discussions, which was the same as what I was thinking. But I would not, if I had spoken it, then it would be my statement, my contribution. But I could not speak because first I had the stigma of research associate. It was made quite obvious in the Now, the director, at one point of time, I made a statement, and the debate was very much heated. And I made a statement. It was hardly, but the director had heard it. So after about an hour, the same I had made came up. So director said, look, we have come up after 1 hour of debate and 1 hour of conflict, but Indira had made that statement 1 hour ago. Now then I could see a sudden change in the faculty meeting, and people kind of turned around and looked at me. And next time I spoke, they kind of listened. So there has to be what this is what you are, and you have to be clear what is your philosophy which you are talking, and that helps. Now I have talked with many women who are in leadership positions, but they say people don't listen to them and they don't want to shout like the men do, which is fine, but there has to be an inner to be listened to, and people listen. If you are for a period of time, I have you have inner confidence and you believe it is right, what makes sense for the total institution, and you say that is listened to. If we are not confident, the voice can get dis- so Shakti is basically to discover your inner confidence, abilities, and your competence, and to be able to state it to the stated, and you are about what people are going to say. I if this problem, it is not my problem. That freed me quite a bit. If to listen, example, if they say ki you cannot do a woman's program, and which they did say, I said it is their problem. So I persisted with my idea. They had to, you had to be internally confident about yourself and believe in yourself that what you are saying is good for the institution, good for the task, good for the organization, and good for just that the tasks have to be done properly. I want to bring here is that happy, comfortable, and content doing just the job, which is from 9 to 5, take some money home, hand it over to the family, and they just believe the money is not for them, money is for the family. And if they want to buy something, they will ask, sometimes gives it, sometimes doesn't give it. They do not have the ability to say, I have brought this, partly I will keep to do what I want. Now, most women don't want to do that because they say, no, it is the family's money and it must go to the family. These are content, so they retire in junior or the middle level, and then they ask themselves, what the hell have I done my whole life? I have worked in the house, I have done the cooking, I have done the feeding, I have done the all kinds of work, but what have I done for myself? And that women have asked who are only job oriented. Then there are women who are career oriented. I did after that one program, and because of its success, I did 9 other programs for women managers. So I did this program. And I left it for 5 years, and then I picked it up as women leadership program. Now, when I asked the career women, they are very assertive, they are competitive, they are ambitious, they are aspiring, they want to do exactly what the men want to do. They dress like men, they dress in pants and coats and jackets and cut their hair and almost be like men. And this kind of a transformation makes the men very insecure because they come out loud, they come out assertive, they come out, they fight, they argue, but they do it. But many of these women, what the consequence of this is, many of these women remain unmarried. Um, I was taking a class, so I said, women get dhamaka in the program. They said, who said women get married? And then we discovered that 30% of these women who were career women were not married. Not only they were not married, but they also had women issues, women problems. They had hysterectomy done, and it was they did is really independence. They wanted freedom from any restrictions, because they said the minute you get married, the in-laws issues start coming up, and if the husband is not supportive, then. But these career women had, because they had given up their femininity, they were rest models. Women losing their feminine very not such a very good idea. Do use 4-letter words left, right, and center without any hesitation in public. But they were constantly trying to emulate somebody which they are not. So career had caught up with this kind of an issue, but they do well in the organization. They rise good benefits, but they live a lonely life. And then when we discuss this in great detail, then there are the same competent professional women who are wanting to get married at some point of time, but by that time it is too late, and even their body age is over to. So then a trend started that they would adopt a child without a husband, and that rule was possible in India. So they would adopt a child and bring it up, but still would not accept their femininity. They would accept their womanhood, but not necessarily their feminine. And there's a big difference. See, women would generally be attired in good clothes. They would be attired with some jewelry. There's a softer approach to women's outlook. Now, if you look at the goddesses also, they're all very well dressed. They're all very well bejeweled, and their face is gentle, and they accept and own up their femininity. But some of the times don't own up the femininity. And I'll give you my example. When I joined IIM, I started teaching. Before that, I used to wear piles, I used to wear bangles, I used to wear necklaces, I used to wear all kinds of jhumkas in my ear. And then wearing jhanjars, I used to like the sound, so I had a tinkling jhanjars. So I said, no, in the classrooms, I can. So I took them out. I cannot have bangles which will go jhan jhan when I'm walking around. So gradually I started dispensing with all of this. And then one day my father came and looked at me and said, "Ye tune kya kiya? Like a man, you don't look like a woman." I said, "How?" He says, "Where are your jewels? Where are your..." But I still used to wear a sari. I did not ever get into the pant bit. Even in the US, they asked me when I was teaching, "Ma'am, do you wear any other kinds of clothes?" I said, "Yes, I do. But when I'm a maid in my house and cleaning my house, then only I wear pants. But when I'm teaching and I'm out, I have to wear my sari." But because they urgently needed somebody to teach, they accepted my wearing a sari. So there is this kind of an attitude. You want to change because it is not acceptable. You don't state your position. And then I started wearing bangles, and I started wearing malas, and I still put on a pile which was not ringing. But I did all of this and it felt good. And then I saw gradually the female staff change. They used to wear these Georgette nylon saris at that time, which were very popular because they did not have to iron. But many of them started wearing cotton starch saris. They started putting on bindi. They started putting on little bit of jewelry, bangles, etc. So everything changed in the institute. The women, and even now after I have left the institute, even the faculty are wearing t-shirts and jeans and going to class. And that I really feel is not necessarily a good thing to do. But then it is my very personal opinion, because I have always worn when I go to a formal setting to teach. The third category of women are the professional women. They are very similar to career oriented women, but they also believe that home is their kitchen. They keep the kitchen into their hands and quite strongly in control, because that keeps the whole household in control. So they don't give up the kitchen, but they still do all the shopping. They are in charge of their home, and even they are in charge in the workplace, but they are in charge in the home place also. And they don't change their attire. They wear their saris or whatever, their suits, or um, and they believe in their philosophy. They believe that home space is their space and nobody can intervene in that. The husband has no role there. They don't want 50%, 50%. The husband should help what they like and prepare the food and give. But these are the highly professional women who are superwomen. They also have consequence trouble in terms of women's ailments. They have hysterectomy. They might have gone through many other women ailments. But see, these two have gone together. So if you are not feminine, then you end up getting women ailments. If you accept your femininity, then you don't get some of these ailments. That is my research, which shows. And if the women are constantly saying what the I will do what the husband says, I will do what the mother-in-law says, I will do this, that, and the other, and then stop their growth, it is very dysfunctional for them, because then they are constantly under stress that they are not fulfilling their potentials, and they are capable, competent, and they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. So if you get caught up, if you take up another person's beliefs as your beliefs, as a reflection on you, that does a lot of harm to the women. And therefore, it is important to say what is somebody else's problem, let it remain their problem. And you will see how the life changes. I was in IIM one day, professor said, can we ask you a personal question? I said, sure. They said, who do you compete with? You are constantly doing something and constantly engaging, constantly visible on the campus by doing things. So who do you compete with? I said, myself, my yesterday. If I compete with you, you are. So it is important not to compete, not to compare, and go ahead with what you believe is right. And that will take you far more forward and far more confident, achievement oriented, and fulfill your ambitions. That is my form of, and who other things in the make an impact in the organization, and create something which is I would have contributed to the organization. Now, in the academics, it is very much possible because there's a huge teacher, you become popular because you're a good. When the retirement time came, the government increased the retirement age by 2 years. So it was from 60 to 62. So everybody influenced the government because she wants to stay in the institute. By that time, I had already accepted the assignment of creating Flame. And then I created Flame. There also had some bits to struggle because I changed a lot of things in education. The education which was necessary, which was needed, worked out a whole map of why this liberal education is necessary. And people saying it won't work. I said, fine, it won't work, but I would have at least made a try. And I would have made an initiative. But I know it will work. Not only it will work, everybody will copy me. I'm the other universities had started a liberal program. And now the national education policy is also based on a liberal education. So if you are confident that this is what you're doing is right as a person, right for the institution, right for the, then you just go ahead and do it. If people don't accept it, it's their problem. I have got away with many things by saying it's your problem, not my problem. So now I think I will stop here to let you ask questions, let you share things.
Thank you, ma'am.
If you want me to elaborate on something, I will elaborate.
Now the space is open for interactions and any reflections, questions, personal sharing. I think we can move into that space.
Hi, good evening. This is Buna here. So I had one question for you, ma'am. Yeah, thanks for the wonderful insights because I could, a lot of those points totally resonated with my own experiences actually. And one question I had for you is, when you said that, if you think it is right, you can always, go ahead, do it. And then you can say it is your problem and it's not mine and you can go ahead with it, right? But that comes at a cost, is it not? I mean, you are penalized at the end of the process. That has been my experience. So how do you deal with scenarios like those? Have you experienced
Okay,
such
let
things?
me give you an example.
Yeah.
See, I'll give you an example. My parents-in-law were going to London, and they were going via Amsterdam. I said, don't do that because I have traveled a lot. You go to Amsterdam, you change the flights. No, they said, but our friends are going, so we are going with them. I said, no, you don't, because I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about they were in their 80s and late 80s. I said, you will get tired. You will have to wait at the airport, do nothing. You don't eat anything at the airport because I'm telling you, okay, you take a direct flight to London. And we bought the tickets to London. So she got very upset with me. She says, you think you know everything. You are in IIM, so you think you can teach your 100 students, so you can also tell us what to do. I said, okay, when you reach London, then you tell me what you think I did wrong. And luckily what happened was they took the 9:30 flight in the morning and reached by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Whereas their friends got caught up in Amsterdam and came the next day, night 2 o'clock. Then she realized that what I was doing was good for them and it was not my authority or my power that I was exercising. It happens. So this is where I'm saying many times you know what you're doing is right. The consequences are people will say you become like this, you become, and their main statement was, Tum IIM jaake, you think you become too great. And that was a caustic remark which used to hurt me. If I know something which is right, then I should do that for them. I can't make them suffer because they don't know what is the situation out there. So that is where, and this has happened many times, that I have been generally right and I have taken that decision. But there are two things I've also done with my in laws. I have never answered them back. And I've done what they like. They did not want me to work, which I thought was their problem. So I used to take them to my convocations. I used to take them to my programs. And my program participants, I used to bring them home and introduce her. I'll give you one very positive example of this issue. See, I was doing a consultancy with Mahendra's, and I was doing it with doing a workshop with the union leaders, these Shiv Sena union leaders, Kattar fanatics. And but they had gotten quite comfortable with me, and I did at least 4 workshops with them, and they kind of respected me quite a bit. They wanted to know how to manage the union meeting. So I said, look, I'm working already with the union management team. Now, if I work with you, there will be a conflict of interest. So I said, you come to Ahmedabad and I'll introduce you to an industrial relation professor. You talk to them. So 5 of them came to Ahmedabad and I invited them home for lunch. But before that, they had asked me, before they even let me work with them, they had interviewed me. And they asked me, who lives with you? I said, my mother-in-law lives with me. They wouldn't believe it. They said, how do you are so educated and you look after your in-laws? I said, yes. Why? They're my parents. If not my parents, my husband's parents, but they're parents. So I do look after them. They are staying with me. So then, since I had invited them for lunch, my mother-in-law was there and we sat down on the same table to eat. And they were telling my mother-in-law what I was doing there in the company. And my mother-in-law was saying, okay, this kheer is made by her and this and that. She's also very good at cooking, etc. And this made such an impact on the union leaders that their whole attitude changed in the union management negotiation. They finished it in 1.5 days, which they had not started for 4 years. And they wanted me to be part of them. And I said, I cannot be. So my values were correct, that I cannot be with both sides and argue from both sides. So it is what you believe is right, you do. It has consequences, sometimes good, sometimes negative, but it's their problem. It's not my problem. Now, if I make it my problem, then I will be inhibited in doing many things. Consequences are always there if you make a choice, good or bad. Consequences will be there. But you must have the strength to take the negative consequences. When people start calling you names, they've called me all kinds of names. They've called me mad, they've called me this, that. And I said, that is your view, your problem. And I have not taken it to heart. I have not started saying, Arey, I'm mad. I'll give you one faculty example. When I became the doctoral program chairman, I was to conduct faculty meetings. And when I sat in the chair of the faculty meeting, everybody was kind of taken aback for a minute, though they knew I was the doctoral program chairman, but visibly see that I'm sitting the single chair and they're all there and I'm conducting the meeting. First day, they would not let me go on with the meeting. They started arguing amongst themselves and fighting and fighting. I let it go on for about 45 minutes, but we did something. And they were very aggressive, telling me I don't know this and I don't know that. And I said, yes, I don't know, but I will. But I said, I'm here to learn and you are here to teach. It's a significant chairmanship. So you have gone through it. So you teach me and I will learn. So they were completely taken aback that I could say this to them. Outside we went and then they said, sorry, Indira, we did this. I said, what did you do? Say, what we did in the faculty. I said, that remains in the faculty room. I haven't brought it out myself. I haven't brought it. It is not with me now. Because that you did to the doctoral program chairman. You did not do it to me. What you're doing now is you're doing to me. I'm fine with that. I think that changed a whole lot of my image in the institute of being treated as an equal. They could argue with me, they could fight with me, but still have good relations. Yesterday, I went to a dinner and I met about 5, 7 IIM faculty members in a marriage. All of them came to say hello to me and said, "We miss you in the institute." And but now it's been 20 years, I'm out of the institute. But there was a kind of the relationship which I had with them, which which was enduring. So what you do is right makes you also gives you positive results. But I agree with you. There are negative consequences as well also. But then you are strong enough to take it. That is the Shakti.
Yeah.
That is really the Shakti. And leadership have to take negatives. Flame mein to baap re, I had so many negative things on me. But I could laugh it off and say, yes, the role of leadership is to accept people's frustration toppled on you, people's anger displayed on you, because they don't know what to do. They don't have a logic, they don't have an answer, so they will blame you. It's okay. But the institute is premier, institute is doing well, students love the institute, so I'm fine. Then you see the other things which are kind of compensating that.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Since we're talking about, Shakti, and what is it truly about our femininity that makes us stand out and makes us really powerful? Can you share some particular characteristics, particular behaviors that you see in women in business around you, in leadership positions around you, that you feel makes them stand out and makes them better leaders than their peers?
One, they know their job. Once they know what they are doing, and they have a little broader perspective of the total organization. How what they are doing is impacting the total organization. And they have knowledge, they have discovered a perspective on the total organization. And they're also how they use their life space is very visible. And that gives them a lot of strength. And by life space, I mean, it's not the role, but what do they do major in life? For example, do they go to the temples? Do they help somebody? Do they do some charity? Do they go and give some talks outside? Do they go and give a lecture outside? Do they mentor somebody? This is the life space where you do other things other than the job, where you become very clearly visible as different. And therefore as I always said, your attire gives you a unique personality.
Thank you so much. Um, is it okay if I say something to add to what you've shared about Bhuna's?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I really related with the question she asked because I have also realized, even though I don't have much experience and I'm a first-time entrepreneur, but in my limited experience, I've realized that it makes a lot of difference that you're a woman in a workspace, and the unconscious biases of educated people
Yes.
become a kind of a hindrance sometimes, or an extra challenge. And then I realized that you have to, I wouldn't say manipulate, but somehow learn to navigate these special
Yes.
challenges in a way where you're taking care of everyone's ego and their emotional needs, while trying to get your way, or trying to have to at least have an opportunity to put your word across. So being a strong woman, I think, does have its challenges, but being a woman who has navigated her life as a woman
Yes.
throughout, I think we have these special skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially women who are in domestic situations with in-laws and husbands, and As you
True.
know, more experienced women, you would all know how you have navigated such situations. So I feel like we already have a certain amount of training for such challenges. If we just change the context of our already acquired skills, I think we can navigate those situations really well.
I'll just share one example with you. This was in 1996. One young woman at that time, she was in her, just about little younger to me, in her 30s, called me up and said, I want to seek some help from you to get some answers. So I want you as my consultant. I was leaving for the US. So I said, look, I'm coming back on this day. So you give me a call and we'll. And sure enough, as I reached my home, her phone came when I came back. So I knew she was very serious about what she wanted to do. And she was running technical industry. She was making radiators, and she was a very good engineer. And the point was her family, her father had passed on the company to her, and some of the shares were with the two sisters and the mother. So they were saying, you sell off the company and you give us our shares. And I advised her, don't do that. She said, but there's a lot of money which I will have to give. I said, do this. Tell them that this is the evaluation of the company. And over a period of time, intermittently, periodically, you will give them their share money. But I said, get it written down. So she says, if I ask them to write down, they think I don't trust them. I said, no, this is a formal organization. So you need to ask them to write it down and have it on paper that this is the agreement you have made. So finally, she did that and started. In about few years' time, she gave them their money. By this time, her company from 6 crores had gone up to 100 crores. Now their greed went up like this, and they wanted more money. So I say, that's your family. You want to give them, give them. But tell them this is the full and final settlement of the amount. I said, now if your company becomes 1,000 crore, how much will you give? They will become greedy again. So she got that document prepared, gave them extra money because that's the mother and the two sisters. So she says, okay, they are my family, so I will give it to them. Now it is getting to be 500 crore. But now her son had entered the company. So he is in charge. So they are quite able to manage their greed. So it is important to do, this was the right thing to do, but also a generous thing to do. But you have to differentiate between the formal work and the formal norms and the formal legal aspects, and not get emotionally carried away by saying, okay, de do, de do, de do. Now I tell her, don't give anything, because it's a 500 crore company, so they would be asking for 100 crores each. I said, no, you can't do that. Then you have to be firm and you have to be tough. So she will be called, she's tough, she's money-minded, she's this. I said, both, that's their problem. You have given them twice. Once, not necessary, but it's okay. They wanted you to close the company and sell the company, whereas this is your lifeline. So you have to understand what belongs to you and what doesn't belong to others, especially if you are an entrepreneur. Because if you start successful, people will eyeing for the share. Okay?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Lots of success to you in your entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Madam, I had some observations and a question to share.
Yes.
So I am the chair of a small department in a university. I have been a student in the department and now I am heading it.
Yes.
So when I was a student, I was surrounded by a lot of very senior professors who were spinsters, the kind of career-oriented women you just
Women, yes.
described. And they would constantly look down upon anybody who chose to get married or, you know, had children, and they would almost make you feel as if, oh, itna humne aap mein invest kiya, and now it's all going to go waste. And ironically, it was the Department of Child Development at that time. So, of course, times change, and today, you know, we are a number of faculty members who are women with families, children. Some of them are single, but there is space for everybody. And I'm very conscious to not give my colleagues that feeling to say that, oh, you are different, or, you know, there is space for everybody. So if somebody needs childcare support, I think of how can I help? How can I support? If somebody has elderly parents, what can we do to support them? You know, give them flexible timings, whatever. However, what I am observing, and that's my question, is that now with a lot of young women, some of whom have been my students, doctoral students, they have so many opportunities, so many things at their disposal, like they can hire help and this, that, and the other. And still they struggle with the confidence question to say, ये मैं ठीक कर रही हूँ ना, should I give this up? ये hustle मुझे नहीं करना है. Why can't I have a comfortable life? Because, you know, for me, this space is hard earned. I have really, I mean, this is my life's work. I will not give it up for anything, even if the pay is peanuts. But I think this is a space that I have really worked towards. But I don't see a lot of young women who now get it easy comparatively. They just don't want it, or they are like, yeah, theek hai, chalayenge. So, you know, that drive is somehow not there. It's almost like they don't know their potential, and I don't know what to tell them. So if you could throw some light on this, I would really be very, very grateful.
It would be important to ask them what is the purpose of life and what is the meaning of life they want. Do they want a meaning to be somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's mother-in-law as they grow older, or they want to have a meaning of their own, known for their competence, capabilities, and potentials they have? That is the only thing. I have advised a lot of women not to give up their jobs or to restart their jobs, which they had left off because of the children. I said, that is all right. Leave the job for a few years, bring up your children when they need you. They said afterwards, they won't need you. In fact, you will be kind of a controlling mom because you have sacrificed for them. So give them their freedom, you take your freedom and do what you have to do, what you can do, and add something to the society. That would be my advice.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Very, very inspiring talk.
Thank you.
I also would like to mention, without taking too much time, that as a master's student, I think I referred many, many times to your work, you know, in the institutions. And so this is really a dream come true to be able to interact with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Yes.
This is Punima here. I'm based out of Bombay. I have a question, which is, in fact, I think I'm probably asking the question on behalf of my partner. So she works in a financial industry, which is largely patriarchal and driven by men in the workforce. If you see, in terms of very similar to how your situation was at IIM Dabad when you started out. And she's also neurotypical in the sense that she has ADHD. So she struggles to voice, though she is very strong as a woman. She does struggle with confidence in this kind of a setting. And I'm wondering how she can harness her Shakti to be able to bring out that confidence that can actually make her be seen for what she is and not be driven by the gender. So if any insights you can throw, that would be great.
I have ADD. Just by the way, this
Yeah.
sounds very relatable.
Yeah.
You see, if she has to make an impact, she must know a bigger picture of the financial implications, and also at the national level, regional level, and also global level. She must study or get interested in and equip herself with a perspective which is available many places about finances, and go to programs or go to senior level programs and attend those programs to understand. Or she can have individual coaching from somebody who can give her a global perspective. That would make her shine out, because most people, men, also don't have a global perspective. They don't have a national perspective also. They only know their job, but they don't have a broader picture of the country's finances, which is very important. See, I had a young woman come and talk to me and said that her father left her tons of money in crores, and they are siphoning off money by different ways of financial, they know the legalities. So she did not have time to go to a course. So I said, okay, I will provide you a coach who will teach you how to right from the reading a balance sheet to expenses and where people can siphon off. She took 10 sessions and then she called me and says, ma'am, I've got so much, I learned so much that I've confronted them with what they are doing, and they backed off. So knowledge is a very important tool to make an impact, broader impact about the subject, about the profession, and then it works. So if she needs a coach, I can give a very good coach.
That would be great. Maybe I can check with Hari sir and see how I can get in touch with you. And maybe that would be something that would be really, really help. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we still have time, Hari?
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes. But
yeah, 5 more minutes.
Okay, then I don't know whether I'll.
Yes, Preeti, bolo.
So my thought was linked to where we started this conversation about, leaning towards Indic wisdom. Sorry, मेरा video चला गया. हाँ. Leaning towards Indic wisdom and the mythology, if I would say. And then it also links, ma'am, to the paper that I think Hari was also saying that we were reading, that you had written. And in a way, like it still stays with me as a shock in a way, or a surprise, where you mentioned that, some of the myths that we have, knowingly or unknowingly, take us on a particular path of either you have to become like this, completely go out of the system and become a kali or something like that, and then you just kind of lose everything. And where are those examples, like what you said of being in the system and working with the system? And I have been trying to think, I mean, really, do we have no examples in our mythology which really allows us to, in some way, I don't know what you call, inhale it, to be that? Or we just have to, create our own myths from here on? So, I mean, that is one part of what was in my mind. And the other part was that, I think this is more of very recent times that I have been thinking of the importance of myth, and how we have shrugged it off as in the term of becoming modern. And what are we losing in the bargain?
Very, very true. See, we have to create our own, we have to become role models for the next generation. And we can become role models if we have a equilibrium in our life, not a balance. Balance, you'll get a spondylosis. So if you try to balance, so you have to create an equilibrium in your life to be a role model. Between work space, between family space, and between the life space. Your life is also very important. In your life, you need to do certain things for yourself. And also family, you need to be responsible just as much you have to do at work. So you have to have an equilibrium between these three. See, for example, a bit of spirituality. I was in Flame and the chairman's daughter was getting engaged and I had the Vipassana dates fixed. So the girl insisted, no, ma'am, you have to come. I said, no, this is my time. I'm going to Vipassana and I'm not going to. They, in fact, what they did was, generally you're not allowed to leave. But because they were trustees, they took the permission and sent me the car. I did not come back. I said, no, this is my time and this is my space and this is what I've come for and I'm not going to break it. I did not go. But they were very upset after a while, which was fine. It's their right to be upset. It's my right to make my choice. Both are true. So you have to also have something about your life space, something about your social space, and something about your workspace. This book will be coming out in about 2 months' time. Then you can read it. It's a humongous volume. I have done work about life spaces, what happens at a certain age and phase of life, and how you need to deal with the challenges of that phase of life. And because between 20 and 27, the challenges are different. Between 28 and 35, the challenges are different. And every 7 years, the challenges change. So you have to make sure that at each phase, your 3 points of life, society, and work are in equilibrium. And for that, you really have to struggle and work at understanding of knowledge, of wisdom, and all these other role models that you must have internalized. You must really reflect. It is a self-reflective model of discovering at which point where you are located, at what point of time. Sometimes you are in your 40s, but you behave like 20s.
Yes.
You giggle and you want to be young. Now, I've said to myself, I don't want to be young. Because being young, you have limited knowledge. The more you grow, like I'm 82 now, the wisdom is a lot more with me than what I had at 30 or 40. So you grow. Aging is a process of growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you take the ownership of growth. Otherwise, you get stuck somewhere.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes,
I have.
yeah.
Preeti, were you trying to ask if there are any goddesses or examples of women in business in our Vedic stories? Is that where you were going?
No, not women in business as such, but it's just like, the energy that they have or the characteristic, so to say, which we
See, there is a paper I have written called From Goddesses to Corporate Offices.
Okay.
Some things I have connected there. So Hari has the paper, he can mail it
I
to
can
all of you.
share it with everybody.
That would
That
be
sounds
lovely.
great. Because
So
that's exactly where I was also going that there are characteristics in our goddesses, in stories that we have
Yes,
heard about
exactly.
goddesses, that
Yeah.
we can, pick and choose from. It's like a mix and match situation that you take
Yes.
from warrior princesses and warrior goddesses
Yes.
to business women, that kind of a thing.
To feminine being women of homes or of kingdoms.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just a time check. We are at 8:42. So it's been an enriching conversation, and as I mentioned in the invitation, also it's only a beginning. What we thought about was based on some of the dilemmas and other things uh, that ma'am has captured in the book, The Indian Woman, and also the paper that Preeti was referring to that we had taken up for our reading circle. So in the subsequent session, we intend to take on more specific themes and as we follow today, have an opening statement and sharing, and then followed by an interaction. So those of you who are catching up on the recording, highly recommend, please watch the interactions and everything. And I will also share the paper and the reference to the book that we have mentioned here. And we will announce the next date for the Samvad, and welcome to join with any more specific, your own personal journeys and sharings also. And also taking the moment to share with all of you, as ma'am mentioned, there is a certain model she has evolved over time, which is anchored in the different life spaces, how they interact, and how do you reconcile the dilemmas between these different life spaces, a self-reflective model of leadership. And in October 2nd, we had a very wonderful open forum with a bunch of women professionals and entrepreneurs in Bombay. And one of the intention is also to build up these Samvads to a women's leadership lab that we have planned in the last week of January in Bombay. It's a 3-day program, January 22nd to 25th. So if any of you feel called to be part of that, do feel free to reach out to me for the brochure and details. And also share with more women leaders and professionals about these samvads, because these are good spaces to also delve into some of these dilemmas with somebody who has a wealth of knowledge and wisdom working through these over decades. And I think each of your sharing has also added value to the interaction. So maybe before we close, can we have a quick round of word or phrase or statement of where you are at the end of today? We can take that as the checkout statement for today. I know at least a couple of you have not spoken, so good to hear before we close. I feel very excited and touched by all the sharings, and looking forward to the next dialogue.
Yeah, thanks, Hari, for inviting me to this session. Thanks, ma'am. It was really insightful. Thanks to everybody who has shared too. I think I will take back. I have three women reporting to me, and I've always been trying to ask them to, step up and, have these different areas of your life. So I think it's definitely more empowering for me to be able to go back and, push them in the right direction. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
The word for me right now is opened.
I think I feel extremely reassured to keep walking the talk, sort of a thing. Thank you.
Right.
For me, it's exciting to be part of this, and I'm definitely looking forward to more interactions for us. Thank you.
I think the word that comes to me is open. So, and openness. I definitely look forward.
It feels like I found a community that I can really connect with and look to for guidance, and in times of when you just need someone to be there. I think that's what I found today.
Thank you, ma'am. For me, it is togetherness and feeling more empowered. I'm looking forward for the next session.
Close for today, and I'll keep you all posted about the next dialogue and other details. Thank you.
Also
so
the
much.
lab. Send them information about the lab.
Yes. So I've shared a invite for a group where you can be part for the further updates. All information will be shared by email and on WhatsApp. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Yeah.
God
Thank you,
bless
everybody. Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you. Take care.